Today I'm going to be showing how to remove the amplifier in a Definitive Technology Mythos St speaker. First you have to disconnect power from the speaker for at least an hour before working on it. That comes straight from DefTech instructions. Next, what you want to do is, if you have the original packaging, flip it upside down and keep it in the packaging. I don't, so I'm leaning mine up against my couch here, and I'm not letting the base of it rest on it. I'm actually letting the speaker itself rest on the couch, and this base is just kind of up in the air a little bit. Next, what you're going to want is one of those Allen wrenches. That's a size 4 Allen wrench that takes the bottom of the base off. There's 4 screws that you have to remove, and that's what I'm doing in this photo right here. They're real easy to take off. My base has speaker spikes or carpet spikes on it, so it can't slide around while it's being played. So now you can just set this base aside. Next, what you want to do is remove this bottom cap. You can see there's a center bolt right in the center. It's about a 9/16. That you don't touch. Just leave it alone. Those outer corner bolts, though, there's 4 Phillips screws that you need to remove. There's no real reason to try and protect them, or I didn't think so anyway, so I just used the impact to quickly remove them instead of using a screwdriver. And what I mean by protecting them is not having any torque marks on them. Not necessarily, you're not trying to strip them by any means. The secret of taking this end cap off, because it's on there pretty tight, is to take the original screws that were on the granite plate and just put them in partially. So I'm taking these screws right here from the granite plate, just screwing them in a couple of threads, so I got something to grab onto when I pull this whole bottom cap out, instead of trying to get it to pop out and then have it just being awkward. So you can see I just threaded them a little bit here now. All I gotta do is just basically grab onto those 2 little clips, and that bottom part just pops right out. Now you gotta be careful when you pull this off, because that bottom plate is still attached by a speaker clip or whatever the heck it is, some type of little plastic clip. You just press down on that and you can pull that straight out. It's real easy to remove. And now that bottom cap with the, I don't know if that's the magnet or the coil, whatever it is, you're just setting that aside. You don't have to worry about that again until reassembly. And now the next step is to remove that bottom base radiator. That's real easy too. There's just 4 Phillips screws there. And for this, I didn't want to have any torque marks on my screws, so I did just use a Phillips, just a basic Phillips screwdriver. And there's no really order that you have to do them in. Mine weren't stuck to the speaker, which I've read others doing this process had to bust them free a little bit or help them break out of the gasket. Mine were just ready to go. This is the first time that these amps have been replaced in these speakers. I bought them brand new 9 years ago, and the left one was starting to develop some hum, and instead of just replacing capacitors, I decided to do the entire amp. And the right side was no longer outputting anything. The amp light would come on, but it wasn't playing any music. Overall, the speakers have been really excellent. This is the first kind of repairs I've had to do to them since I've owned them, so I don't really consider this a really major maintenance item, I guess. It just something had to be. So anyways, the 4 screws are out, and now you push the base radiator towards the speaker, and then you slide it out the bottom. It's real easy. You can see it in my hand. They're super light too. There's really nothing to them. And now you can see the amplifier is exposed in the bottom. Okay, now there's 4 screws. You can see the amplifier that need to be removed. There's well, that's the wire for the speaker there, but the screws are what you need to remove are on the outsides, and that's kind of in the middle there, and then there's 2 in the back there as well. First off, what you can remove is the that white and gray speaker cable, and the white one you can kind of see right in the middle of the circuit board there. You just need to unplug that from the board itself. It's just a regular speaker cable connection. You can pull it right off, and then you can reuse it for when you put the new board in. And that's what I'm going to do in this clip here. And then I also take a needle nose and remove the gray one as well, so that the subwoofer is no longer connected to the circuit board. So here's me removing the white one. It's real easy. Gray one's a little tougher because it's between those two capacitors. Harder to get at anyways, but nothing too major. Just be careful that you don't want up damaging that cable in the process. Now the new board does come with a new cable, but it'd be much easier just to reuse these because there was no damage to mine anyways. So that came unclipped, and now I don't show it whatever, but you need to remove those next 4 screws. It's nothing real big. You just take your screwdriver out, remove them so that amplifier frees up from the board. And it's easier to work on those screws if you put the speakers flat on the floor here. Reason being is so that those, if you do happen to drop one of the screws, they don't go dropping down the speaker. The next step in the process after you remove those screws is you can do this either before or after, but I did it after. Take the speaker volume knob off the back and then remove that Phillips head screw there, and you're kind of removing the internal little piece, I guess, or you're freeing this up from speaker so you can remove both the amp and that, I don't know what the heck you'd call this, line level or whatever it is. So there's a little nut that's still in the volume knob there. You can use a needle nose to loosen up that nut. It's not real hard, it's a real simple thing. That white strip that's in the frame there that you can see above it is the LED light strip that I connect to it, so I can kind of have a little bit of ambient light going on while I'm listening to music or just playing movies or whatever. It just really makes it easier on the eyes instead of having a completely black room. So now that that's freed up, I can flip the speaker over, and the amplifier is now loose, obviously. See it jostling around there. But I still need to disconnect these cables that are still connected to that board yet. So I'm trying to do it with a needle nose, and that wasn't successful with that. What I did wind up doing is just taking the top speaker cables off, and then I was able to unclip it from the board itself. It's when you get to this process, or when you get to this point of the install or destall, whatever you would call it, removal process, it's really easy to do. It's nothing real major anymore. So now you can see that I've removed the amplifier, I've removed that card piece. So everything's now removed, and there's the cable for the subwoofer, there's the cable for the speaker highs and mids, I guess. There's 2 posts there. One, the top part is for the speaker highs, the bottom part is the part that goes to your circuit board that's connected to the subwoofer. I tightened those back up before I put them back together, and here's the amplifier completely removed. You can see that's the volume switch side that you see in the back of the speaker itself. There's the LED light, there's the LFE port, there's the 2 capacitors, the amplifier cooling fin, and I'm going to show you a shot of the capacitors. So you can actually, if you want to try and replace just the capacitor instead of the entire amp, if you're getting buzz noise, I believe that says 6800 microfarad 80 volt. You can give it a try to try and repair them by replacing them, or take them to a circuit shop or electronic shop that does soldering.